We are a really weird company, and it's a privilege to be here today. I won't take up too much of your time today. I have a little bit of a headache. I think I had a really strong start to the day and then kind of finished with a couple calamities around the house. But I'm very excited to see you. Hey, Lamont, how are you? Jose, good to see you. Jim, welcome. Jerry. And so we have a very unique worldview. While other companies are screaming at you, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I get a lot of uh, videos in my feed for how other companies are training their armies of customers. And most of them lately are like 12-year-old kids telling you about their super secret setup, or grown men screaming at rooms full of grown men with projectors on the wall telling them things after the fact. And we sort of have a mission to offer a better alternative. Now, do we use the software for ourselves to trade? Yes. Do we also get to share it with other people and help them turn the proverbial corners in their careers, or maybe boost what they're already doing? Yes. Full disclosure to the question before we start, why do you do what you do? Because, fun fact, when we share what we've learned with successful customers, they share how they're using our tool. And so, in a very real sense, we sort of have the Borg at this company. Over the last 15 years or so, the more traders that are using our tools, the more they're sharing how they're using it, the more suggestions we've had and refinements that we've made. It's just gotten better and better and better. So if you're here today and you're sort of asking why, there's a symbiosis that occurs when you're honest about what you're doing. You share everything you know. People in return, after 15 years, we've probably got about 5, maybe 6,000 customers now. I should go check. And we're all moving forward with the same belief system, which is essentially time is a pretty important factor when it comes to market movements. In fact, we believe most of the movements in markets are predictable using a variety of sources. And so when we look at complex information, that we recognize that institutions are manipulating and rigging markets at certain times. They kind of have to, because they follow procedures, they have internal processes that are taking place, funds being rebalanced and balanced, and general shenanigans with their high frequency trading algorithms and dark pools and spoofing. But when we have the right tool to filter that data, we can sort of see what's going on. And most traders, when they're looking at the price action during the day, they're not aware of these times, but a program trained to look for them is well suited to finding times in the market that are repeating over and over again. And so there's this experiment that people take with us when they're participating in our trial. And in essence, what we do is we give out the market prediction times, the behavioral times, the directions of those times on Tuesday. We publish them, and then Wednesday and Thursday, we let the hordes follow along and see how they do. not only that, but we also advise people how to trade the signals. So for example, here are the times on the page that people have been following: Wednesday and Thursday. Oh, no picture. Huh. Well, all of that was useless. No one told me. No picture. Well, let's go back and reiterate this. Thank you, Rich. You're MVP today. On Tuesday, we send out the histogram times for Wednesday and Thursday. And what's happening is the computer is looking at all of the data available for your market. And it's coming back and noticing times where banks are, or whoever, aliens, I don't know, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, whoever is making markets go up or down, Jerome Powell out at his horseback riding, skeet shooting, trout fishing extravaganza. The program notices what times regularly are being pushed up or down. And so on Tuesday, we publish these times for customers who are interested to see if this is real or not. So when we look at a market, one of the most popular ones is the E-mini S&P. On Tuesday, this was available for Thursday. And so the program is telling us, hey, these are the times, the established behavior patterns where banks are up to some shenanigans on a 3-minute E-mini S&P chart. And when you get to Thursday this week, you should pay attention. Now, what's bananas about that is this chart has been added 4 days ago. 12 people have been following along. 12 pilgrims have been saying, I don't believe it. Let me see. But for 4 days, this program, this output has existed in the interwebs, permanently, indelibly, unalterably existing. Not one pixel could be changed without some type of modification, some web server fingerprint. And on my kids' lives, this is the thing that's been posted for 4 days, has not been changed, updated, repaired, or altered. So these are raw signals, much like the 1-minute NASDAQ. A lot of you are NASDAQ-aholics. Here's the 1-minute NASDAQ. These are all Eastern Daylight Time, UTC -4. They'll appear local, your computer time when you run the software. And so these are all the times that the computer is warning us that a behavior pattern may recur again. Okay? So these times are raw signals. They're raw. They're just times and directions. 603 down, 733 down, 854 down. What do we do with them? Well, up here, we talk about the rules that we're going to follow when we get to these times. In fact, I have all the rules here. Very simple system. There's even a video that described what I wanted people to follow along with when they arrived at these times in the future. Let me just reiterate this, because sometimes I think people glance over it. Someone who says, hey, I want to see this in a live market. I want a free trial. Those things happened. Every signal I'm showing you was available 4 days ago. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Since Monday, these times stamped into the web. On Monday, we have the times and directions for today. So 4 days in the future, 4 days ago. And now here's the system that we're going to use to follow it. Ready? When, and I said this last week, I've shown this every week. I've shown this every week for the last, gosh, I don't even know. Where is the shortened one? No. When we get, let's just do it on a chart. How about that? Here we go. We'll start with the E-mini S&P. On my chart, I have a 120 period moving average. $120 period moving average. Now, one of the things I want to call to your attention before we go any further is how our program is different than anything you've ever seen. Everything to the right of this bar is a time and direction that we're waiting for in the future. So take a look. These are all the times for tomorrow's London session and tomorrow's New York session. Abraham, they're here already. John, they're already here. Justin, they're here. Lamont, these are here. The only reason all of these signals exist, and we have them for tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, right now. The only reason these signals exist is because there's a repeating behavior pattern. There's a repeating behavior pattern. That's the only reason they're there. If there were no patterns at these times, there would be no signal at those times. There would be blank spaces. And you can see there are blank spaces here where there's no signals for a while because there's no behavior pattern in between this one and this one. There's no behavior pattern between 10:36 and midnight and 6 seconds. So I want you to remember all of the signals I'm about to show you were potential moves. When we watched them today, none of the bars were here. None of these bars were here. All of this was blank. All we had was this. So when someone is yelling at you, this one guy, I swear, if you've seen the video, you know who he is. He's got a slick haircut. He's got a leather bomber jacket. He wants everyone to be impressed. His logos are all over the walls. He's got desks and 14 projectors showing charts on the wall. And of course, everything has already happened. And he's like, you people, you know how much lawyers make an hour? Not as much as me. And I was like, who is buying these courses? And these poor guys are just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't want to admit it. Look how easy this can be. Ready? There are two trades that we gave you in the instructions. One is called a signal with trend. I call those SWTs, very original. The other is called a puncture with trend. Two setups. Okay. What does that mean? Well, our stop is always going to be 1.5 average true range values away. Now, if that's too far for you, you can adjust that number. But what it's doing is it's measuring the volatility in the moment. And it's saying, hey, on average, a 3-minute bar is X number of ticks or points. We're going to be that distance plus 50% more, just outside what some technicians would call market noise, just outside the market noise of that signal. And you'll notice sometimes the stop is smaller and sometimes the stop is greater. It's a dynamic risk calculation. It's like a pair of sweatpants with an elastic waistband. Does everyone understand that? We have a dynamic average true range based stop. If you want a fixed tick stop, piece of cake. You can change all of that in the code. You can come in here and say, I don't want 150%. I only want 100%. That's cool also. But for 15 years, that's the one we've been showing, and I like to stay constant. When vendors change their settings week to week to week, it kind of creates distrust, in my opinion. Hey, why is he changing the settings? So now, watch. Here we go. The econ is at 830. Unemployment, this, that, and the other thing. The program is warning us to look for an up move from 830 until 854. Okay? I don't trade reports. If you do, God bless you. The next signal, the trend is up. The trend is up. I am waiting for a puncture. At 854, my 1.5 ATR stop. Whoops, let's use a rectangle to be consistent with the narrative, is here. I'm going to buy it when it goes one tick above that line. And very first thing it does is go one tick above the line and drop down. Okay, so my stop is right here below that puncture candle. I'm looking for a failure of the sell signal. I want that sell signal to drop and go down. If it doesn't, it means that whoever used to sell stopped doing that. And they're buying now. Okay, so their behavior pattern is the opposite of what it normally is. And so I look for a chance to get in there and do it again. It punctures a second time and it hits its stop right here and then punctures a third time. So let me add those up for you. Ready? In, loss, -3. In, loss, -1. In, doesn't hit the stop underneath the puncture candle, and I finish in the green by 939 plus 2. At 939, I have a signal with trend right at the open. A lot of you don't trade near the open. Not my responsibility to filter. I'm just looking at every signal, and look, it hit the stop. So +2 -9, not bueno. Mucho not bueno. The very next signal is what's called a crossover trade. The signal starts out as a selling signal, not quite below the moving average, and now this one comes below the moving average. So I enter at the close of the crossover trade. My stop is above the candle, which closed below the moving average, and I exit at 1012. Let's put it on the board. Woo! +5. Now, you'll notice the market dropped at 10:03. And now what does it do from 10:12 to 11:03. Doesn't go down anymore. The hole in the ship is plugged. It's plugged. It's not leaking. 11:03 is now the next signal with trend. It's a behavior pattern that we're hoping to exploit, provided they do it again. So now what do? We enter at the close of the candle. Our stop is 1.5 ATR values away. Our exit is by the next signal at 11:18 plus 8. Ding! 11:18 is below the moving average. We are looking for a failure of the buying behavior pattern, meaning banks have changed their mind. I don't want to go up, I want to go down. Okay. Well, we're ready for you if you do. And so now, using a 15-year-old trading method based on a trend entry system, we're going to enter right when it punches through that white line, a sell stop right on the other side. And we're going to exit when? The close of the next signal. Boom, plus 3. Boom. Puncture trade. 11:30, what color is the bar down in the histogram? It's warning us. Like Jarvis to Tony Stark in his helmet. Sir, they're preparing a new sales run down. Shall we go short until 11:51? Jarvis, that sounds like a great idea. Very good, sir. And now we enter on the close of the 11:30 signal that we've been waiting 4 days for. And where do we hold it to? Until 11:51. $18. Boom. Let me spread this over a little bit. The next signal at 12:15 is obviously a stop out. From here to here, we give 9 of the $18 back. Signal with trend. Now, just a word about all this, because I don't think I do a good enough job explaining why this works. When you know something is coming, you're less fearful of it. When you are fearful of something, you don't trust it. You may have the best trading signal in the world, a Jeffrey Epstein, Bernie Madoff arrow that pops up, and a worldwide Ponzi scheme pushes your signal into profits. And you still will be reticent to trade it because you're reacting to something. Like walking through a haunted house on Halloween. I have no idea where these volunteers are crouched over with fake blood and hammers and hatchets. That's what makes it scary. Now imagine you work at the haunted house. And you know behind this door is the haunted house chainsaw massacre guy. And behind this window is Susan, and she's really into screaming at the top of her lungs. This isn't scary anymore. This is yawn. It's not scary. When you know when these signals are coming up, and you understand that they came from established behavior patterns, you are more likely to trade them. You are proactive versus reactive. You don't have bomber jacket guy back here going, what did I tell you we do when we see 14 red candles in a row? I don't know. Why are you wearing a bomber jacket? You don't fly an airplane. It's 2024. Cut it out, Tom Cruise. Stop it. So now you're more likely to trade it, and you're more likely to hold it for a longer period of time because you know there's a time window. At 12:45, we are waiting for a puncture. We're expecting this buy signal to do exactly what this buy signal did. People taking profit, people coming in and going, let me cover my shorts when I'm in here, or even, heaven forbid, pushing up like they did at 11:51. Justin, what happens if they don't do either of those things? What happens if they don't do either of those things, Jerry? Abraham? What happens if they change what they normally do at the last minute? I wait for it to creep below that white line. I'm waiting with a sell order right here. Because if it falls under that line, it means they've changed their mind. Rothschild at JP Morgan, Rothschild IV, who met his wife in the Hamptons at the International JP Morgan Arnold Palmer Classic Race for the Cure Michael Scott Rabies Foundation pool party, turned on the algorithm and it decided to go down instead of up. And as soon as it goes through that stop line, I go, no, I'm going to be in with you. You change direction. At this time, it did not go up. It did not go sideways. Justin, it's starting to fall. No, I'm going to miss the move. Right here, I sell at 624. My stop goes above the candle. And I enter short. How long do I hold it for? This is, we're going to really bake your noodle. I hold it until the next time. Ready? Here we go. Ah! It's a 24-point move. What's the maximum that move went? 40. I have to be out by 224. Are you starting to understand the power of this yet? They're supposed to buy. The trend is down. I can't buy when the trend is down. What can I do? Take care, Alvaro. Give Dave all your money. Stop resisting. Resistance is futile. He's gone. So that's a puncture. The next signal at 224. What usually happens according to our algorithm at 224? What usually happens between 224 Eastern and 303? It goes down. So now I'm short. My stop is above the blue line. I make it all the way $9 in my favor. And then at the last minute, I give back 2. Womp womp. If I'm still trading at 324, I'm short. I give back nothing. It's a break-even trade minus slippage, of course. And now we're short at 421, and we're 1 tick in the green. Woohoo! Until 651. So now look. How much thinking did I have to do today? None. I knew what times to wait for. I knew what directions to wait for. I had a plan in case things went the other direction. I had two setups. And I'm watching this gigundo moving average to see what's the overall direction of the market. And when I get to the times, the market is telling me how much risk I have to use. What is the fee I have to pay to participate in this trade? 2, 5, 23, 43, 47. Okay, now the other side, 47, 47, 45, 36, 31, 30, 28, 27. Let's call it $25. So there is a potential hypothetical $25 of moves that we've captured to the positive from after the report until the close today, using two setups with trend, which equivocates to how much? That's 50, that's 1,000, that's $1,250 per contract. In the ES, $125 in the micro ES, and if you're using Apex with 20 accounts, that was $125 per micro lot. And all of these things were based off of signals and rules that existed 4 days ago. So, of what use is it to sit there wringing your hands and having bomber jacket guy screaming at you? Of what use is it to follow those things that normally cause you anxiety, right? I wish I could find that video and show it to you. I think you would have a good laugh with me. YouTube now probably won't give it to me because they know I want it. This is one guy that I started paying attention to. And I watch him and I literally see where the dots would be. I literally know where the buy times and sell times would be on this guy's chart. And he's drawing lines. Where are they from? I don't know. I suspect there's a course I can pay for that will tell me where the lines come from. I suspect that course will use a lot of discretion. And your lines won't match my lines, won't match her lines. But the music is really good. And I look at that chart and I think to myself, there was probably a buy signal here and a sell signal up here. I can't imagine going back to the way things used to be. I can't imagine just fingering along and feeling in the dark and wondering what this candle pattern means or if that trend line is going to hold. And instead, what we believe is that markets are moving at these times that everyone who has all the money know about in advance. And then I get multi-chart guy. Look at him. Isn't he inspiring? Don't you want to just throw tens of thousands of dollars down the hole of his mentorship course? Look at all the monitors he has. There are so many lines marking things that have already happened. Do you understand how ridiculous this starts to be when you see the kinds of things that you've seen here today? I love this stuff. I love looking at what they're trying to sell people. It's marking literally where the low was and where the high was with a green line. It's telling you what already happened. And that's where 90% of people, 95% of people fail. I already know what happened. I know there's a pivot there. So it's hard for me. I get a little emotional about it. And it's not just one market. It's not just one market. Here's the NASDAQ this morning. This is the one that most of you knuckleheads are trying and trading, right? This is the one most of you guys are trying and trading. So from the open to lunchtime, ready? From the open to lunchtime, with signals that have been available for how long? 4 days. Here's our 120 period EMA. I already know when the times are coming. I've had them for 4 days. I have 2 setups. I have signals with trend, which can also be a crossover if they cross the moving average in the middle of their time window. And I have punctures. That's it. And when I get to each time, I have to evaluate it. 931, here, everything, warts and all. It closes under the moving average, hits my stop, goes above that candle, minus 17. It closes under the moving average, hits the stop, minus 20. Womp womp. It closes under the moving average a third time, and I'm in and I get 5 of it back. It closes above the moving average. I'm long, I'm long, I'm long, I'm all the way back underneath. It hits the stop, minus 20. It's not looking too good at the moment. 10:03, signal with trend, short until 10:06, plus 6. 10:06, not going up, not going sideways. They've changed their mind. Rapid deceleration, buy dot. I'm waiting like a shark just under the move, under the stop line. How far does it go in my direction? $41. Okay, I have to be out by what? 1028 plus 250. Take care, Justin. 1028, I'm short until when? 1046 plus $23. 1050, I'm short and I'm upside down. Minus 38. 1108, it's not going up, it's not going up. I'm waiting underneath this line. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Done. Plus 13. On average, trend trading systems are 50 to 55% profitable, meaning somewhere between a 45 and a 55% expectancy. Half the time you win, half the time you lose. When you win about twice as much as what you've lost. Here comes the run. Short at 1119, out at 1131, plus 67. Short at 1132, out at 1141, plus 64. Short at 1143, out at 1155, plus 34. Let's add them up. 34, 64, 90, let's call it 100, 114, let's call it 110, 177, 180, 200, 202, 208, 214, call it 215, just for round numbers. So on the plus side, 215. Minus 40, minus 37, minus 57, minus 97. The winners are twice as big as the losers. I knew the signals were coming 4 days ago. 215 minus 97, call it an even 100. $100 in the NQ using 4-day-old signals is $2,000 from the open until lunch. And so we're not excluding other markets. We can look at oil futures, for example. We can look at crude futures with all of the insanity in the world. Again, Jerome Powell meeting with these big mucky mucks, blowing up nuclear power plants in Russia and Ukraine, and the Houthis flying remote control airplanes with grenades strapped to them in the Strait of Hormuz or whatever. 4 days after the signals, look at when the oil companies were supposed to drive the price up. Look at where you could have bought and got out when the trend was rising. Add it up in your mind, it's another $1,000. And we're not excluding higher time frames either. I show the lower time frames because that's what most of you want to see. But when we start to go out and look for signals at higher time frames, here's the ES on a 60-minute chart. If you want to know what to expect, as long as we are below the stop line, look for shorts. When we break it, look for longs. From 4 a.m. to 12, look for longs. From 8 o'clock p.m. until 7 o'clock p.m., look for longs. From 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock, look for longs. From 9 o'clock until 1 a.m., look for longs. 8 o'clock, look for longs until what? The line is breached. Then look for shorts if you don't want to use a moving average. Go as high as you want on your analysis. You want to look at a daily chart. On the ES, I change one setting just to keep it constant. 12305 if you're a customer. These are the signals that we've been watching for a year. Watching for a year. What were we expecting on August 16th? What were we expecting on August 16th until when? Here. This is a daily chart, knuckleheads. Daily chart until September 2nd. What are we expecting? Yeah. And those of you in my class, I just want to draw that here. There's an intermediate cycle that I'm expecting down and then up. This is a daily chart. Can we look at SPY? Sure. There's a daily chart of SPY. How long in advance did we know when the signals were coming? Well, look how far in advance we have them now. We have them through November. Well, I trade options on SPY. Well, you're losing or leaving a lot of money on the table because you believe you have to pay attention to all the other things. And so what I think banks do is they know that everyone's using all this stuff. And they're like, sir, we've got the silver bullet plan in play right now, and a lot of people are convinced in these things are called fair value gaps. Interesting. And here's what they're doing. They're like, fair value gap, market profile, candle patterns, big block orders, and all the while, here's the time signal. Sir, are we still going to shoot the SPY up on the 19th? Of course we are. Well, let's get Jamie Dimon on the TV telling everybody there's a soft landing for the recession. Good thinking, Rothschild. And everyone's focused on this indicator and that tool set and this guru and the latest thing. And there's a girl that I watch. She looks like she's 12 years old. And all she uses is trend lines. Whoop. Meanwhile, I'm looking at every one of her charts. I pull up a video screen. I look at her chart that she was trading. I'm looking at platinum. Yeah, you got in late. You got in at the exact wrong time. And so many of you have been chasing that game, that shell game. What's the next thing? What's the next new marketing thing? Meanwhile, they're just chugging along. They're just chugging along. And over here are the moves. They're here. Well, why should I believe those moves? Because what I showed you from 4 days ago happened. 30 signals instead of 2 or 3 in the next month. Any questions about this? I wanted to show you something else because it's happening right before our eyes. And I mentioned this last week. These things are not accidental. William, it's 714 calendar days, swing strength 8. The chart over here is 2008. The chart over here is 2024. A, B, C. A, B, C. Up into beginning of July. Up into beginning of July. Down until July, August. Down until July, August. Some whipsaws. Whee! The eventual breaking of the high, October, November. Where are we headed? This is literally a 16-year-old pattern. If we apply the mechanics, the mentality, the belief system that we're employing over here. We're believing that someone with more power, more wealth, access to a money printing machine, their buddy at the Fed says, how many bucks do you need? I don't know. How's $1 trillion? Well, we'll have to funnel it through some programs. How do you feel about the Paycheck Protection Program? It seems we have a pandemic. That sounds wonderful, Bill. See you on the links later today? Absolutely, Charles. My love to Susan. And they're doing it right in front of us. They're doing it right in front of us. And look what they want us to think. This hurts my soul. We're waiting on Powell. We're waiting on a man literally riding horses, fishing for rainbow trout, and shooting clay skeet to tell us what we already knew. We're going to wait until the election, and then when we get the results, all of my friends have been shorting this entire way up. The volume is going to get lighter and lighter, and while we're putting the horses back in the garage, you guys are going to be on the tail end of it. And by then, you're finally going to believe us that commercial real estate fell apart, that consumer debt is at an all-time high, that a Dunkin' Donut costs $36. Nobody's making their car payments, and anyone who wasn't born in 1960 to 1970 can't afford a home. That's what's happening in this leg. Michael Burry's movie Part 2. And you can see it plain as day, but somehow, some reason, when you when you guys get to these charts, you believe intraday it's different. Well, I gotta use the silver bullet because there's a fair value gap. What? You have to do what now? What's a fair value gap? I had to Google like 35 things. Here's the European session this morning. Long from 610 until 622, plus 12. Long from 629 until 639, plus 16. Long from 702 until 715. Puncture, loss. Long from 740 until 747, plus 8. Long from 8 o'clock until 8:12, plus 7. What are you doing? Listening to Leather Jacket Guy. Most people don't want to believe this is real. Because to an extent, it speaks to, here he is. He's not wearing his leather jacket. What does he want us to tell? If you make $20 a day, that's $5,000 a year. If you make $5,000 a day, that's $13 gazillion a year. And people fall for this every day. 151 likes. Look, I'm on Instagram. See how trim I am? I haven't had a carb in 13 years. All you got to do is make $5,000 a day. That's all you got to do. Meanwhile, we're out here shouting in the wilderness for 15 years. Here are the times. Here are the times. They're going to do it again. They're going to do it again and again and again. Here they are. And about 5% of people who come through our website believe it. And those are the people that I'm talking to right now. Any questions about that? I got a little excited there. Apologies for getting a little excited. This is what I believe. I believe everything that they could possibly leverage against you is leveraged against you. Takahiro, why are you asking me those questions in a sales webinar? And the questions didn't make sense. You notice sometimes using the trend line, not the 120 EMA, the other one, the price often trades over if red and under if. Green, how do you handle those trade setups? I don't use a trend line. I use a 120 EMA. That's the answer. In my room, I use a 20 EMA for faster. Yeah, send it to Dave. Dave trades. Dave can answer your question. Don't ask me in a sales webinar. Hit me in Skype. Send me an email. It's weird. You're the reporter at the press conference that says, what does Mr. Trump like, Big Macs or Whoppers? I like when you give me a hard time. You literally took the longest to purchase the program. You're about a year. My kids had 2 birthday cakes in the time it took me to convince you. So no more hard times for me. I need to get on the boat with Frodo and go to the land where everybody's happy. No more volcanoes. So what we want to do is we want to put you behind the wheel of this program, which has 12,000 lines of code. And I want you to be able to know what people are about to do before they do it. And maybe they don't. Maybe there's a stop out. I showed you all the stop outs today. I did. They're not all winners. I'm not going to tell you you can make $5,000 every day. I have a Skype group though. Where people are posting their results. This guy says, I'm $8 away from getting another $50,000 evaluation account. Less than 1 tick. Here's his results today. He took 7 trades with the signals, $1,053. That's a real person. These are real people sharing their results. 19th to the 21st, $2,222. 17 trades. What percent profitable? 100. That's a guy who sat in the webinar just like you and said, nah, hang on, let me look. Let me see if this stuff works. Calm down, Michael. Calm down. We have a 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. 93% of our reviews are 5-star, 4% are 4-star, and 3% are 1-star. There you go. And so Jordan wants us to know that the program is not worth the money he paid. Please read that review. And then you can see my response. Trading Gals want us to know they were happy. Jason wants us to know he was happy. Brian Phillips, John, Chris, Carrie, Asif. Hey, Asif, Jordan, Tom. Read through the reviews. These are people who sat in the webinar just like you. They all have receipts. They are not my brother-in-law. It's not me with a fake name. Any one of these people, you can call them, email them, ask them for a screenshot of their credit card receipt, and they have one. They can show you. Alberto Zamora is one of our 1-star guys. And at the end, he wants us to know, by the way, Michael and the staff are great. That's the weirdest review I ever had. And it still makes me laugh. People are weird, man. We literally spent a year with Alberto, and in the end, we found out he had 30 to 45 minutes to trade before he went to work in the morning. He traded from 7 to 8 o'clock Eastern time before he had to go to work. And we were like, dude, you can't do that. So there's that. The program that we're talking about is called Warp. We've been in business for 15 years. I don't know who this guy is, but he's thinking very intently about his program here. You can tell that he's very contemplative about what's going on these charts. And when he went to the product store, the program that he was excited about was Tachyon Time Warp. Tachyon is a merge of 2 words. There are 2 words. One of the words is tachyon with a Y, which is a Star Trek word. It's based on a theoretical particle that can travel backwards and forwards in time. Eon describes an infinite amount of time. And so these products are under the banner of a program which can travel backwards and forwards in time infinitely. Warp is our flagship product. Today, there is a link. I'm going to put the hyperlink in your chat box. If you want to come and follow along with me, please do. The list price is $2,995. Remember, I just showed you virtually that amount, hypothetically, in 1 day of trading the NQ and the ES from the open to lunchtime. There is a training room that I teach. I teach the training room. The owner, the co-owner, I have a partner. He's pretty awesome. If you've met him, you know. And we look for setups together. I teach the setups in the room, the same kinds of entries and exits that we're looking for. I teach the entries and exits. We follow along in real time. And I actually created a book. If you're a customer and you're not in here, you're being silly. I document all of my setups in this book based on the way the signals work. And it has a very nice cover. More sci-fi. That's what's on the screen right now. If you want to include that room, I have a $200 daily goal. I hit it today in the first 45 minutes, I think. We had a gold trade that went $600 in our direction at one point. It was a pretty nutty day. I had an E-mini S&P buy that hit its stop for $3 or 150, and then we got into a short that went $6. That was my ES trade today. If you're not in this room, please consider joining it. I can give you the link if you're a customer. If you don't want it and you're not a hands-on learner, don't get it. This is the NinjaTrader indicator. So this is a lifetime license. It's going to plug into your NinjaTrader account. If you're trading with Apex, if you're looking to open a prop account, pass an evaluation, we are one of a very small handful of people that the owner allows to participate in the tools section because so many of our customers are doing well with it. The owner of Apex, by the way, is a customer. Daryl, longtime customer of our company. I don't know if he still uses the software. I hope so. Okay. So when you go to purchase, bear that in mind. I can't stand that guy. Okay, hold on. I want to show you the promo code that takes a big chunk of moolah and puts it back in your pocket. We've only had, I think, 2 price increases in 15 years. We didn't raise our prices during COVID. So make sure you look at the purchase agreement, click the X. We'll make this one update. When you put in this promo code, WARPOFF, WARPOFF, one more time, WARPOFF, and hit apply, it takes $500 off. Okay? Lifetime updates on the program, 2 licenses. You get access to a video training archive in the website. You get access to that Skype group that I just showed you. So right now there are 301 participants in the Skype group. There are customers here who are sharing what they do, what they're looking at. That guy who's making all his money and hitting those goals every day, he's in there. He would love for you to ask him how he's doing what he's doing. Okay, if you're a customer and you're not in the Skype group, please ask me or Rachel for the link. We're happy to put you in there. I'm in here and I'm constantly providing feedback, updates, training snippets, chart settings. You are not alone. Like Michael Jackson said, you are not alone. So we have a community that will support you and work with you, as well as the training videos on the website. Are there any questions about that, Jeremy? John? Some new names here, Lamont. Hey, Mahmoud. Phil, good to see you. Hey, Steven. Siang. No? All right. It's pretty simple. Don't be this person. And don't trade like this guy. Oh, I can't find it. My sumo wrestler dude is gone. Anyway, I said it was a rocky ending to the day. I bought a used lawn tractor, and I thought I really put one over on the guy. Got him to come down $100. It was already pretty cheap. And right as I was leaving, he was like, oh, pay attention to the oil. And I mowed half my lawn today with it. The oil dripped out, and the connecting rod, the disconnecting rod broke when the engine seized. And so I was like, I'm gonna have a good webinar. So any questions about any of this stuff, any markets you guys want to see the time signals of, a stock, crypto, commodities, SPY, QQQ, Tesla, NVIDIA, anything you want to look at, we can analyze with this tool. Most of our customers are using it on the higher time frames to trade options, as well as the intraday time frames to trade futures or forex. And so they're doing both things, monitoring their Bitcoin holdings on large time frames like daily and weekly chart signals. So there's something for everybody in all of that. No, low energy today. That's okay. Sometimes we have to pull back. SOXL, long time frame. John, hey, okay. Let me see if I have a data feed for it. I'm not even sure what it is, if I'm being honest with you. What is SOXL? Woo! Direction daily semiconductor bull. Let's see if I got a feed for it. Stand by. Why not? Get off my screen. SOXL. Let's check out a daily. 10 years of signals. See if I have data. I do have data, John. Woohoo! Okay, so let's load the template. And there are two settings, just so you know before I load them, John. There are generally two settings that I apply to these charts. One's called a 714 and one is a 123. Just so you know, before I even see the results, I tried this one first, and then the chart we used before on the daily, I use this one. I tell you in advance so you don't think I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too. Let's check the first one, which is the value we use intraday. There we go. So this is the 714. And based on what we got here, let me pull it out. That's what she said. We'll come here. The signals in sequence lately, we're calling for a push down from July 8th until the 26th. And then, John, remember how I split that signal into thirds a little while ago? Between here and here, that was the signal, and then this was the signal. And then we're waiting for selling from the 19th of August until September 9th on the daily time frame. Does that make sense? I'm going to check it on the other on the other setting. And usually on the daily, I try both to see which one the markets are in sync with. And that one is actually more in sync with those settings. But either way, we showed down on the 20th instead of the 19th. I'm going to stick with the default values because that keeps me honest. And I don't want you to think I'm curve fitting, but I want you to see there is a way to modify the settings to dial in a market. I will also go out on a limb here and put it on the weekly chart. And let's try to load a little more data. We'll just cram it full of data. There we go. So John, this is the weekly chart. And we have selling from the week of the 26th until the week of the 20th. And yeah, it's not much different than this chart, is it? It kind of looks like this 1 minute NQ chart, but over here. And again, I'm not changing the settings. I want you to see I've got my sleeves up. There's no cards in my pockets. Yeah, when you're looking at a 714, William, you're going back 1 week and then 2 weeks to look for intraday data. When you're looking at a 1, 2, 3, you're going back 1 and 2 and 3 days sequentially to look for patterns. So a 714 intraday is asking the computer what happened last Thursday and what happened the Thursday before. If I come in and I say, hey, I want to just look at what happened yesterday, right? Can you imagine? Just look at the times the market went up and down yesterday, and let's see if that had any bearing on what happened today. So William, that's a 1000. Does that make sense? That's just looking at, so those forecasts are only 24 hours old. Those are the most recent. So if you want a little more data, you can tell it, show me the last 3 days of patterns, and then you get the 1, 2, 3, 0. For 14 years, 15 years, we've only ever shown the 714 as the default values so as to not be accused of curve fitting, right? Okay, any questions about that? Thank you, John, for suggesting we take a look at that. Anything else before we finish up? Tesla on a weekly? Yes. There you go. The next signal is on the week of September 27th. This right here is market manipulation, and that big bar has now been completely filled, and we're moving back down towards this original price of 185. The NQ? Yeah, we can look at the NQ on a daily chart, sure. Let's first go to a daily chart for tomorrow. Let's look at the NQ 60-minute chart to get a sense for what's going on. And Bala, here's what I see on a 1-hour chart. I read it like a story. And Bala, do you see right here where the 8 o'clock buy signal stop line was broken? To me, when I usually see that, this move didn't continue up. And so Bala, that's an appointment that the institutions had. The program said, this is a time on the 1-hour time frame where we normally go up, right? It's like getting on a bus and the sign says Albuquerque New Mexico, and you open up your eyes and you look out the window and you see French words, Vive la France, you're in Quebec, Canada. You're like, we went the wrong direction. We were supposed to go to New Mexico. And so when you see that signal at 8 o'clock, it's describing a change of sentiment, a core fundamental belief has changed the plan. Does that make sense? So I would be watching tonight at 1 a.m. into 9 a.m. tomorrow to see if it doesn't pull back here and drop down. On a daily chart, let's take a look at that. And for my daily, I'm going to change it to a 1, 2, 3, 5. One, two, three, five. 1, 2, because that's what I use on my ES daily. Okay. So Bala, here's what I have on the daily chart. Drawing tools, remove all objects. Yes. Can you guys handle a little bit of advanced theory? Or do you want to keep it in the shallow end of the pool? Okay. There is a concept in time. Many of you attended the conference in April, and I'm just going to reiterate it here. There's a concept in time where my belief is that time exists as a wave. When you listen to scientists discuss the fabric of the universe, when you listen to Gann and Nikola Tesla and Einstein, all of these men talk about the universe in terms of a wave, right? And so, Bala, what I've learned is that these signals, right? Imagine all of your cell signals are at the top of the blue wave, and William, all of your buy signals are at the bottom of the blue wave, right? So sell dot, buy dot, sell dot, buy dot, right? That's what you guys know pretty much part and parcel, right? What I learned 14.5 years in is that time has a second wave that is equal and opposite. Time has a second wave that is equal and opposite. Omnia, by the way, is Latin, and it translates into everything. So every time signal that I've developed with my partner here, whether it's a lunar signal, a solar signal, a vibrational frequency signal, or a warp signal, this concept emerges. And so, William, what happens is there's a point when we're chugging along, following the blue signal, where all of the signals start to go backwards. They invert. We refer to that as reverse polarity or rev pol. If you're in my advanced room, you know what rev pol is. We talk about it every day. It's in the book. And that rev pol sequence continues for a while until it snaps out. Now, with that in mind, I want you to look at what the last signal did. William, can you see how this signal dropped down on the second when it was a buy signal? And then Bala, do you see how this signal shot up on the 14th and this signal shot up on the 8th, right? The signal on the 9th has a very narrow window, but out of these, 1, 2, no, 3 went the opposite direction. You with me? Okay. Now, in the book, that signal, I'll get you a copy of the book if you want it. That signal is called a rapid acceleration buy dot. You see how this NQ 1 minute signal looks a lot like the NQ daily signal right here? High close bar, high close bar, high close bar, and the sell dot is one of them. High close bar, high close bar, high close bar, and the sell dot is one of them. Time is so awesome. The mathematics of it, there's a depth to it. So can everyone see? And I'm happy, and I do. I gave out the, every customer has access to the training video for this where I describe it and teach it. This is not secret knowledge. I want everyone to have it. So Bala, what happens after this sequence is pretty well known. We see it on the intraday charts all the time. And take a look. What happens is this. The next buy signal after that inverted sell drops down, and it becomes what we call a pattern 5. If you click on your histogram guidebook in your handouts, you'll see what a pattern 5 looks like. And before you go, whoa, wait a minute, that's too complicated. It's not, it's just new. So Bala, previous swing high, higher high at a buy time, and it starts to do what? Roll over. So today was a pattern 5 by itself, but it was also part of this sequence where we're expecting lower movement until the next sell signal. Time is not disorganized. So there are 2 potential sell signals where that can happen. The very first one is a drop until the 27th. It could also be a drop until the 4th. The 27th is closer and more likely. So if I go by what we've studied, it feels like this is what's waiting for us into the 27th or 25th, 27th. Does that make sense? The cool part is, if you know what that pattern is, and again, it's in the training videos that I sent you for Omnia, there's a setup in the book. Right there. And we know after the 3rd candle in the sequence to go long. So we would be advising you and did to go long here. Your stop, if you're an options trader, is below the first of the 3 candles. And you're looking for 100 and 200% of the move. We got to what, 150%. Was that too complicated, or am I okay? They should be interpreted as such, yes. So right now, Bala, the reality is you can split it this way now that you know, or just reference the patterns. Yeah, proud of you for figuring that out. Look at you. You got it. You got it. And so these same patterns exist intraday. Let me see if I can find you an example of one where you can see that taking place in the other direction. I'm going to scoot around a little bit here. Please give me a little bit of rope. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, here it is. See it, Bala? Ready? High close. We call this a corrupted RDBD, RASD. And watch what happens at the next white line, the white signal. And then Bala, do you see how the next 10, 15 signal goes higher because it's opposite? That's what I'm predicting will happen now on the daily chart. Exactly, William. Exactly. Okay. Yes, that is happening on SPY. You are correct. So there is a RASD right here. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. This is a topping pattern. It occurs near highs, so we expected it to go up now. And if we apply that theory, down now. If we use the splits, draw from left to right, we are down until the 23rd on the daily. No, here's the thing. Mr. Powell is irrelevant. Mr. Powell is irrelevant. What do I mean by that? When you come out and study the cycles like we do, for example, I've dragged this chart out a bunch of times. We believe time is driven by energy. The largest source of energy in our universe is the sun, our galaxy, our solar system. Yes, smaller. So Bala, these are the dates where the sun is at its maximum activity, the most energy before it dips back down and starts to go less. So bright, 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 less bright, less bright, less bright, less bright. This is the Chinese Civil War. This is Germany invading Poland and Pearl Harbor, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Gaddafi-Libyan Civil War, Russia invades Czechoslovakia, Russia invades Afghanistan, the Iran-Iraq War, the Rwandan invasion, Iraq invades Kuwait, the Bosnian Civil War, the Rwandan Civil War, 9/11, Operating Enduring Freedom, blah, blah, blah. Now watch. This has been happening for a very long time. When you understand the sequence and what drives things, you know what and when to look for things to happen. And no one man controls them. Same sun graph, same sun chart. United States independence, our revolution. The French Revolution, Napoleonic Wars, the Congress of Vienna, the breaking of the Berlin Wall, the Cuban Revolution, the October Revolution. This has been going on for a long time. And so what is Powell's point to play in any of this? I'm waiting for this. We're coming into the crescendo right now. These are the last few months before the breakdown, when almost every recession takes place. We are driving into it right now. Israel was bombed by Iran. What? When Trump was assassinated, I said, that can't be random. I wonder when presidents are assassinated or their attempted assassinations occur. And I went back to that same chart, the energy chart, the cycle. And I'm going to lose a few of you here because you don't believe it. And that's okay. I didn't believe it at first either. But I keep an open mind. I'm going to find it. Bear with my squigglies. I thought it was pretty cool. I will find it. Every presidential assassination occurred at a high or a low. 3 out of 4 of the assassination attempts that failed were at a high. I believe because people were on guard, or not in this last case. Bear with me, I'm so sorry. But what I'm trying to get at is, what point does Powell play? What part does he have? What control? Here it is. What control does Powell play or have? Trump attempted assassination at the high. Reagan attempted assassination at the high. Jackson attempted assassination at the high. If you're going to shoot at somebody and have a poor chance of hitting them, don't do it at the high. Lincoln at a low, Garfield at a high, Kennedy at a low. None of them are in the middle. How much downside can you predict? Look how far 2008 fell. 30 to 40% from the last push up. Yeah, which isn't that much. So what you start to believe when you see these things is that if I know it, somebody else knows it. Would you agree with that, Mahmoud, Merrick, Chris? If I know this and you know this, what do we know? We know that people are generally the most open-minded to war. They're the most paranoid. They're the most riddled with angst at the high. Question: is war profitable to the United States or not? In a purely economic sense, do we make or lose money when bombs are going off somewhere? Anyone want to answer that? Defense stocks go up, bombs are expensive. Britain just paid off its debt for World War II to the United States. So here's what I believe happens. I believe there's a war in Ukraine. All the money is sent, new taxes, money, 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 money. And then people start buying homes again. The market, the economy goes up. There's nobody left to buy homes again. We have another war. And now here we're coming in. There's nobody left to buy a house. No one can afford a Big Mac. There's no more loans to take out. No more Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. A house costs $460,000, $80,000. People are starting to lay off workers, replace them with AI. Just look here. Cisco employees face a month of silence ahead of second layoff in 2024. Anheuser-Busch lays off Massachusetts, affecting 200 jobs. GM announces it will lay off more than 1,000 salaried workers. Where's the money coming from then, Bala? How are we going to pay for all those Hampton excursions and the mega yachts and the Nancy Pelosi parties? Here's what I believe right there. I think that's what's brewing. There's something coming. So I think Powell's in on it. I think they're all in on it. And I think you guys all know that they're in on it too. I don't think I'm out on too big of a branch here. When we look at what happens on oil, on a 3-minute, on a 5-minute, does this look like a random market to you? Or does this look like Nancy Pelosi trading oil? And she knew where the high was going to be. She knew where the low was going to be, where the low was going to be, where the low was going to be, where the high was going to be. Looks like Nancy Pelosi charts. Somebody knows something you don't know. My job is to teach you how to know what they know. It's going to sound a little weird at first, but it best fits what happens. And I was right about it. I went out on a limb and I warned people. I put my reputation on the line and I said, hey, before it happened, I warned all my friends and family. This was 2020, 4 years ago, 2019, 5 years ago, 2007, 2008, 2019. And Bala, I wrote an email to I wrote a Facebook post. I can still show it to you if you want it. And I said, dear friends and family, we're coming into it. I'm expecting the next recession to occur at the low. And I can tell you why if you want to know later. Don't buy anything expensive. Don't buy a house. Don't buy a car. Don't buy any kind of luxury item. Save your cash. Work extra hours. Hoard a little food. You'll hear it in this video if you hear me go through it. And I say at one point, I'm not sure, but I think maybe a war with China. And someone in the comments wrote, do you think COVID was an act of war? I'll leave that for you to decide. The point is, I nailed it using the same technique. It best fit what to expect at that time. And as we sit here and we wait, the thing that's supplying the energy is insanely active right now. We're getting auroras in Florida. We're seeing northern lights in Georgia. And all of that, when you apply it to here, means more anxiety, more fear, more anger, more rage, more violence, and a bigger decline when the reversal comes. The more air you put in the balloon before you pop it, the bigger the explosion. Okay? There's a movie that came out, a critically acclaimed movie, called Civil War. Interesting. If you were an adversary and you wanted your island back, with all of the chip manufacturing and all of the technology and all of the workers who think democracy is a great thing, wouldn't this be a great time? Picture in your mind a blue wave across America, but it's close. And allegations of election rigging and violence in the street that dwarfs January 6th. If I'm Xi Jinping, not only am I fomenting that, not only am I running my servers and my bots to make people believe that's true, right? I make a public declaration, and right when everyone's screaming at each other, come right on over and take it back. So, little tinfoil hattish, but the charts don't lie. And that's what I'm sticking to. I love you guys. That was a little nutty, but you know what I was looking for now on the NASDAQ daily. Sorry to go down that path, but it's what I believe. What I've seen happen every day over and over and over again. And I want that for you. If you're not a customer yet, please consider joining. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine upon your handsome faces, your beautiful, handsome faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you. May the mountains lay low before you. I wish you peace, prosperity, joy, fellowship. Proactively seek out, search for those things. Align yourself with, join other people who are optimistic, high energy, collaborative, like customers in our Skype group. It's a family here. We say crazy things. We support each other. We fight with each other. We get stuff done. In the end, there's power when you bring people together under the same banner. And so look for that in your lives daily, weekly. Be light and joy where you are. There's a lot of darkness right now. I think it's going to get darker very soon. I hope I'm wrong, but it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And so I want you to be prepared. I want you to see what's on these charts. I want you to know how this stuff works to the best of my knowledge and abilities. Love you guys. Take care. Please consider signing up. Visit us at backtothefuturetrading.com. Promo code WARPOFF.